Hey, what's up guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Red Eyes Black Dragon test hands. I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys, because you guys have been requesting this one like crazy. This is hands down my favorite of the original trilogy between Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician. I love this card. It represents potential, which is just what this deck is, and I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys, because you guys have literally been requesting this one like crazy ever since I dropped the deck profile, and I am excited to bring it because I love Flare Metal as a card, and I love summoning multiples of it, and I'm excited to show you guys just how to do that. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can actually pull out, because this deck is really crazy. It has a lot of different outs to a lot of different cards. It has everything from super polys in it to dealing with your opponent to burning them with the Flare Metal. It's just really, really good. I carry this deck around with me all the time, because it's just so fun to play. Summoning at least 2 Flare Metals, and then you look at your opponent and you're like, go ahead, breathe. Take 500 for every time you take a breath, which is what's really great about this deck. Oh, you blinked? 500. Oh, you played a card? 500. Oh, you drew? 500. It just, for everything that they do just about in the game, if they activate an effect, they take 500. And I love that card in this deck. It's just so good as a card to be able to summon to your side of the field. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of playing around with Cyber Dragons back when just Nova was around before we got Infinity to overlay on top of it. And it was really, really interesting. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually pull off. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Red Eyes Alternative, a copy of Red Eyes Insight, Flare, Black Flare, Noctovision, and a copy of Black Metal. So this is not bad at all. We have some plays here. We're going to go ahead and use the copy of Red Eyes Insight to send a Red Eyes from our deck to the graveyard to get its effect off, to be able to add a Red Eyes effect, or add a Red Eyes spell or trap from our deck to our hand, which we have a couple of cards and a couple of options that you can grab out of the deck. You can grab Fusion. I probably wouldn't grab Fusion anymore because of Anaconda, but you can also grab stuff like Fang and Chain, or your copy of Red Eyes Spirit, or Red Eyes, Red Eyes, Return of Red Eyes. I would probably grab the Red Eyes Spirit just to be able to give me additional plays, because the Return, or the Red Eyes Black Dragon's in the graveyard now, and it's going to get me more card advantage. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up and see what we can do with this particular hand. I already see at least one Flare Metal that I can pull out. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the graveyard, and then once we do this, I would go ahead and activate my copy of Red Eyes Alternative Black that has the ability, it cannot be normal summoned or spec, it must be special summoned from your hand by tributing a Red Eyes monster from your hand or field, and then you get to summon it to your side of the field. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the graveyard, and then tribute out this card, and then the effect of Noctovision will go off, special summoning it to your field, and then you can also activate your copy of Red Eye, or Black Metal Dragon to equip to this card, and then overlay for a copy of your first Flare Metal. Once we summon the first Flare Metal, you can detach a material from it to be able to special summon a Red Eyes back from the graveyard, which is going to get you some plays and a little bit of help, and your copy of Black Metal will go to the grave because you did link off, or not link off, but Izzy summon into a into a Flare Metal Dragon. So now that we've done that, I would go ahead and grab my Red Eyes Insight from the deck, or you can even, for the next turn setup, grab a copy of the Return of the Red Eyes to grab that back. And then once you go ahead with that particular play, well, I don't know, I probably would grab, I would grab Fang and Chain, because Fang and Chain is going to be able to gobble up something, which is going to be a little bit more helpful to be able to just gobble up something against your opponent. So we're going to go ahead and set down these 2 cards on our side of the field. Remember, play around the Mech Knight. And then once we go ahead and pass against our opponent, we're going to let them go ahead. Now, usually they're going to start activating stuff and burning themselves out with the copy of Flare Metal, which is going to be great for us and bad for them. So once they go ahead and do their turn, let's just say that they get rid of this copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon. I can go ahead and Fang and Chain so this can attack direct, or attack multiple times, and then I can Red Eyes Spirit and bring this back. So once it's my turn, if they didn't get rid of this copy of Flare Metal, I'm going to draw for turn, and I'm going to draw into a Call by the Grave, which is not going to super help me all that much, but I do have my copy of Flare Metal that I can then detach a material off of it and special summon back my copy of my Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. So once I do that, I can then overlay these 2 on top of one another and summon my next copy, and then detach a material and summon another copy back, which is going to give me a lot of card advantage and a lot of help to get my monsters back, which is super nice for this particular build. I've already got 2 flare metals on the field by turn 2, which is really, really good. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand, because usually, again, you're kind of just leaning towards those copy of flare metals. You can also summon out a copy of Dragoons if you wanted to summon Dragoons in that instance. It would be helpful to summon it out to your side of the field because you could get additional plays to be able to just burn your opponent out, but it would help to go into that as well. But doing double flare metal is nothing to kind of like sneeze at against your opponents. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next test hand, because like I said, this deck is really, really insane. So we're going to go ahead and draw Monster Reborn. That's fantastic. Red Eyes Wyvern, you don't want to see that. Red Eyes Insight, and a copy of Ashuta. So this is not bad at all. We're going to go ahead and use the copy of the Red Eyes Insight to be able to grab a copy of a Red Eyes Spell or Trap, send the Red Eyes Black Dragon to the graveyard, and then I'm going to do kind of the same thing that I did before, and I'm going to grab a copy of, but I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. I'm actually going to grab Return of the Red Eyes, because if you control Red Eyes, then you can special summon a Red Eyes that's a normal monster from the graveyard, which is going to help you out in the long run of things. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the graveyard, and once we do that, you can go ahead and special summon out the copy of Ashuta. Now, if you want to, you can normal summon out the copy of the Red Eyes Wyvern, and then link these two away to summon out your copy of your Anaconda. I'm just showing you guys a little bit different. You could go ahead and Monster Reborn and summon back your Red Eyes, and then overlay for a copy of Flare Metal, but I'm just showing you guys a little bit of a different play for the extra deck. So we're going to go ahead and summon out our copy of Anaconda. Anaconda will go off, and we're going to go ahead and send from our deck to the graveyard a copy of Dark Magician, a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon, and a copy of Red Eyes Fusion from the deck to the grave, which is going to get us a copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. And then you can set out a copy of your Return of the Red Eyes, which will get one of your Red Eyes back from the graveyard next turn. I'm going to show you why this is really cool to actually go for Dragoons first in this particular build, because there's a lot of different plays that you can go for this. So this card says if you control Red Eyes monster, then you can special summon a Red Eyes monster from your graveyard, which is really cool. So we're going to go ahead and set this to our side of the field and pass it to our opponent with 2 discards in hand. So once we go ahead and pass to our opponent, we have a negate that we can go ahead and use against our opponent with the copy of the Red Eyes Insight, which is going to be pretty helpful. And then we're going to go ahead and draw for turn, which is a Dragon Shrine. So this is going to be kind of neat. So watch this. During your opponent's turn, you can activate, before you even draw this, you can activate this and special summon back a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon. So once you get that copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon back on your side of the field, you're going to go ahead and draw. This is actually going to stay on the field. And this card says that if you control a Red Eyes monster, then you can target one normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the grave, you can target a Red Eyes monster in your grave except another copy of itself and special summon it. And you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. I control Red Eyes. It's my turn now. So I get to special summon another Red Eyes, which is really, really nice. Now, I also have the copy of Dragon Shrine. Going to go ahead and use that and send 2 Red Eyes from my deck to the graveyard. We're setting up for a triple flare metal. Go ahead and use your first copy of Red Eyes and then send a second copy of Red Eyes to the graveyard in the form of Black Flare. Go ahead and get both of those in the graveyard, and this is going to get us a revival like you wouldn't believe. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Monster Reborn, special summon back a Red Eyes to our field, and then start overlaying. You're going to go ahead and summon 1 here. You're going to detach. You're going to special summon 1 down here, and you're going to overlay again, and it's going to get you another Red Eyes here, and then you're going to detach and special summon another one. And then at this point, if your opponent can't play around it, they're kind of screwed, to be honest with you, because you're going to get all those monsters on your side of the field, and it's just going to basically be GG, because you have double flare metal. Excuse me, I didn't mean triple. You get double on your side of the field, which is going to burn them for 1,000 points each, and then this is also going to be able to pop 2 cards against them, and then you also have this flare metal that can swing multiple times, which is, or at least once, that's going to get you really, really helpful to get you all those different plays. You can swing multiple times with your field because you have 28 3k, or well, at least 1 negate, which is 4k, 28 and 24, which is what's really amazing. I feel like going into the 3rd flare metal is a little bit overkill. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually do for the next test hand, because like I just showed you guys, this deck is actually bonkers. It's really insane to actually play with, because you're going to get to summon all those crazy things. And I will say, if you draw into your copy of Super Polymerization and you have your copy of Dragoons on your side of the field and your opponent tries to Dragoons you can actually use your copy of Super Polymerization to fuse it away, which is the reason that I actually play it, because I only want to be the one with the Dragoons on my field. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually do for the next hand. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle it up and draw Super Polymerization. I just talked about it. Red Eyes Black Dragon, Red Eyes Spirit, a copy of Allure of Darkness, and a Black Metal Dragon. So this is where the hand, you see it and it's like, oh, that's not the greatest, but we have plays. I'm going to show you why. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Allure of Darkness. You can use the Allure, and I'm going to show you why I wouldn't use the Allure. We're going to draw into a copy of Return of the Dragon Lords and another Metal Dragon, which is not the greatest, I will say. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle that up, and I'm showing you why not to do that. We're going to go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Black Metal, link it away, and then we're going to summon out a Link Rebo. Now the copy of Black Metal will go off, and we will get to add a Red Eyes card from our deck to our hand, which is any Red Eyes card that you want, which can be alternative. I'm going to grab alternative from my deck to my hand, which is going to help me out in the long run of things a lot more than the copy of the Black Metal, or the 2 cards that I would have drawn. So go ahead and send this to the grave, special summon out your copy of alternative, and then you can again link these 2 away to summon out your copy of Anaconda to be able to go into additional plays. I think I shuffled the Anaconda. No, I didn't. I thought I shuffled it into the deck. Same sleeves. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Anaconda to go off into a copy of our Red Eyes Black Dragon, or into our Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, because it's usually, if I'm going first, I either summon this, or if I have a double Flare Metal play, I'll go for double Flare Metal over this, because I'll burn my opponent out in 8 effects. But in this particular hand, I did not have double Flare Metal, but I still have some really good plays. I'm going to show you how. So we're going to go ahead and send this to grave, and then we're going to summon out our copy of Dragoons to our side of the field. And once you summon out the Dragoons, set your copy of Super Poly and keep the Allure as a discard fodder for both of your monsters, for this and the Super Poly, depending on what you need. You can even, if you want to, you can hold the copy of Red Eyes Spirit, because you don't really need it, and you can go in for your copy of your Red Eyes Flare Metal during the next turn with other ways. So if we let our opponent go, you have the copy of Super Polymerization that you can fusion summon away 2 monsters that they control that are dark to go into the copy of Starring Venom or copy of Mud Dragon, which, if you notice, Super Poly will actually equal a Starring Venom if you have a Dragoons and a Anaconda against you, because both of these are dark. Or you can always go for Mud Dragon if you can't, which is also a really interesting concept. Go ahead and discard this, and then their Dragoons can also discard this to the graveyard, and you've got an insane field. So we're going to go ahead and draw for turn into another Super Poly. You're just going to use this for fodder for your copy of Dragoons. Swing at your opponent with this, swinging them this, and then if they do destroy this, you still have both of these, which is really good as well. You have the negation, you have the double pop here, and you have the other plays with the other Starring Venom. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next particular hand. Like I said, this is a really good deck to go into Dragoons and to go into Flare Metal, which is what's really neat about it. Playing the Super Polymerization is really nice, but if you guys want to see a triple Flare Metal build, I can try and do a triple Flare Metal build. This deck does do it, but it primarily focuses on summoning Dragoons and summoning the other 2 Flare Metals. It doesn't try and go for all 3. You want to summon at least 1, or Dragoons and Dragoons with it, which is what's really, really cool. So let's go ahead and shuffle it up and see what we can actually do. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Return of the Red Eyes, a copy of Black Metal Dragon, Return of the Dragon Lords, and a copy of the Blackstone of Legend. So I would go ahead and do what we did last time. Normal summon, link summon this out, and then once you link summon this out, your effect of your Black Metal Dragon is going to go off, but this time you're not going to have on your side of the field a copy of another card to summon. And how are we actually going to get another monster on the field? You look at this and you go, that's a little bit awkward, isn't it? But you actually have a play. So I'm going to show you where it is. Grab your Red Eyes Insight. Your Red Eyes Insight is then going to activate, and then you can go ahead and send a Red Eyes from your deck to the graveyard, which is going to be, I would usually send a Red Eyes Black Dragon, and then it's going to grab a copy of a Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand, which is going to be literally any Red Eyes card that you want it to be. I would probably grab the Red Eye Spirit at this point, because it's going to get you another revival spell, which is going to be helpful in the long run of things, just to get that card back on your side of the field and get you into some additional plays. The only downside is you don't play anything like Mduk or anything in the deck. You could play an Mduk if you wanted to, and link away the copy of your Red Eyes into that, and then go for Anaconda into your copy of Dragoons, you can go that route. But for the current hand, you can't do a whole lot except for set these and then pass against your opponent. So once you pass into your opponent's probably going to destroy this. Hopefully they don't OTK you, and then we're going to draw into our next card, which is a copy of Red Eyes Black Flare. So Red Eyes Black Flare is going to help us out a lot, because you're going to go ahead and use the Red Eyes Spirit to get back your copy of your Red Eyes Black Dragon to your field, which is going to help you overall with a lot of different plays. So now you can go ahead and normal summon out your copy of either the Black Metal or the Black Stone. It doesn't super matter which one you go for. It just matters that you get one of them on the field. So we're going to go ahead. I probably would grab the copy of Red Eyes Black Metal and then link it away to summon out your copy, or tribute it off to summon out your copy of your Linkuriboh back to your field. And then your copy of your Black Metal will then grab Insight again, and then your copy of Insight will go off and send another copy of a Red Eyes to the graveyard, which is going to get you some more advantage to get another Red Eyes in the graveyard to go off with another play, which is going to help us out a lot. But make sure that you grab whatever you want off that copy, which is going to be a copy of Fang and Chain that you're going to need to grab out of the deck. And then you can activate your copy of your Return of the Dragon Lords, special summon this back to your field, and then immediately overlay for a copy of Flare Metal on your side of the field, and then you can detach one of the Flare Metal pieces and then immediately special summon it back to your field. Actually, I don't think you can, because you don't have another Red Eyes. Nope, you can't. You can't summon out another Red Eyes because you don't have another Red Eyes in the graveyard currently, but you can still summon it to your side of the field and get you additional plays, which is super nice. Go ahead and set this to your field, and you can still burn your opponent for that damage as well, which is really nice. And you have the copy of the Return of the Dragon Lords that you can revive back your cards, and the Fang and Chain to let it attack twice during the next battle phase. So if we draw and we pass, we get the Vashuda, which the Vashuda is helpful if you draw it in the first turn, and then you normal summon out the copy of your Blackstone of Legend. Blackstone of Legend will then tribute itself, special summoning out a Red Eyes Black Dragon from the deck, and then you have that play that you can go off with to be able to get you additional stuff, which is super nice. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another test hand. I will mention that normal summon was during the next turn. That was not during the first turn, because we had already normal summoned the copy of the Black Metal Dragon. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for another test hand, because like I said, this deck does very well. It is a little bit focused on Dragoons to summon out to your side of the field, but it does summon out the Flare Metals, which is really cool. To combo both of them together is just like asking for your opponent to like quit, because they don't need to like, there's not a lot of ways for them to out it, which is what's really cool, to out the Dragoons, and then summoning the Flare Metal behind it is just really, really tough to deal with, because they run out of effects so fast, especially if you're going second, and you can pop 2 cards and then make the Dragoons as well. It's really difficult for them to play around. So we're going to go ahead and draw Monster Reborn, Black Metal Dragon, Super Poly, Red Eyes Fusion, and a copy of Super Poly as well. You can do something very, very simple here and just drop the Red Eyes Fusion against your opponent, and then summon out the Dragoons to your side of the field, which is a great first turn play because it's so powerful. And then you drop the copy of Red Eyes, and then you drop the copy of Dark Magician to the graveyard, which is just going to be super overpowered. And what's really cool about it is you can also set this to the field and then pass. And then when you pass against your opponent, if they can't out this, you have the copy of Super Poly that you can discard to get this effect to negate. And you also have the Super Poly in the hand that you can get a negate. But if we draw into our next turn, we're going to draw into a copy of Black Flare, which is going to help us out a lot because you have the copy of the Red Eyes in the graveyard. And at this point, you can go ahead and normal summon out your copy of Black Metal, link it away, summon out your copy of Linkuriboh, and then the Black Metal is going to let you grab any Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand, which is really nice. And we're going to go ahead and grab our copy of Alternative Black to our hand. And then you're going to special summon out the copy of Alternative Black by popping this, use Monster Reborn, bring this back, overlay these two, which is really nice. And then make your copy of your Flare Metal, detach the copy of Alternative. Well, no, detach this. and then you can special summon it back to your side of the field. And since we haven't normal summoned, you can normal summon this out to your field to gain its additional ability. And you have set the copy of Super Poly, which you don't have any cards left in hand to go off with it, but you have the Flare Metal, this, and a copy of Black Flare, and you have the copy of Link Rebo, which is really cool too. So you can get double pops with this, and then let this kind of like deal with whatever's left in your opponent's hand, or whatever's left of your opponent's card effects, which is really, really nice. I love that ability, just to be able to use that and be able to kind of let your opponent kind of play themselves with your copy of Flare Metal. So if you draw into the next turn, you're going to draw into Noctovision, which is not going to be super helpful. So this is kind of your field that you're going to get with that particular hand, Called by the Grave. And then you're pretty much just going to have this, which is what's really cool. You can also, during the next turn, if you want to, detach this off of it and special summon back that other Red Eyes, and then overlay these, and then go for the next play, which is another option for you guys as well, which is what's really, really cool about this deck. I actually really love the way that the deck plays. It's a little bit, it's really interesting the way that that actually summons Dragoons. I'm really interested to see what they do about that card on the next ban list. I think they probably will hit it on the next ban list, and then I'm just going to go to a triple Flare Metal build, which is going to play like Silver's Cries and stuff like that over the copy, like I used to with Soryujas and stuff, to bring out your copies of your Red Eyes from your hand like I used to play, which is going to be really, really interesting to summon 3 Flare Metals to my side of the field. But I think that's going to be it for this particular test hand, guys. It's a really good deck, and I'm really excited that I got to show it to you guys. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come to our notification squad, and definitely touching this deck down in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.